This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media. Uh, Producers of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium, July 7 through 11 in Boca Raton, Florida, or via live stream from the comfort and convenience of your own home. However you choose to attend, remember that we'll be presenting between 50 and 60 hours of intense and valuable programming, more than you can absorb in the 4 days of the conference. To that end, whether you attend live or via live stream, there will be conference recordings available to you where you can and should review the material several times so that you get all of the value that you pay for. Further to that end, we are interviewing every exhibitor and every presenter in the conference before the conference so that you can spend some time before the conference learning more about those opportunities that you would like to participate in and use your time at the conference more efficiently. Further to that, please note that every public company exhibitor at the Natural Resources Investment Symposium has been vetted by me personally, which is to say I own shares in every public company exhibitor. The fact that I own shares is no guarantee that they go up, but there is a guarantee that unlike any other investment conference in the world that I'm aware of, every exhibitor has been vetted. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing a friend of mine going back 3 decades, Dev Randhawa, a man that has been serially successful in capital markets and, by the way, in mineral exploration. I'm delighted that he and his companies will be presenting at the Natural Resources Investment Symposium. They've been supporters of our educational efforts for 3 long decades. Dev, welcome, and thank you for your support.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's with a warm heart that I'm on.
Tell us something, Dev, about your career. Tell us about prior successes in natural resource finance and how you've made money for shareholders in past endeavors.
Yeah, I look back and I look back in 1996, and it's been 3 decades, and I've been a bit early in the uranium cycle, but I'm glad to have caught this particular cycle. It's the first time that we got both sides of the aisle. So over the years, we've been fortunate. F3 has a great discovery, but it's our third discovery as a group and our fourth company. I think, one of the few companies, similar to Mr. Beatty, where if you owned one company, if you look in your portfolio today, there are 4 different stocks. If you owned our original Strathmore going back to 2007, you would find some shares of Energy Fuels, Denison, FCU, and F3. So I don't know many, other entities that have been able to dividend for that. And obviously the key has been to hire the right people. People with good track records attract capital. And boy, do you need a lot of capital, because the exploration business is so risky. And, especially with uranium, you can be 5 meters, 15 feet off a great discovery. And it's been shown. So you've got to have really good people that are driven towards shareholder value. And I think that's been the key, is to be able to pick the right guys. I was very fortunate to team up with Ross McElroy and for many years. And then he brought in Ray, Ashley, and et cetera. So we've been fortunate to have really good people. But like I said, it's a risky business, but when you make a discovery, stocks don't go up 7-8%. They go up 600%, 800%. Right now, F3 is where it sits, is still up 600% from where the discovery was made. But the key has been always to have good people. But at the same time, in those early days, you need supporters. I'm very thankful for people like Mike Halverson, Bob Bishop, Adrian Day back then, Doug Casey, and you. Not very few people, coming to Carlsbad, you were into uranium, and I didn't have to sell you on that. And so it's a great time to be in the business now, where you don't have to, you're not the redheaded stepchild talking about uranium. You are, everybody's talking about it. It's a perfect storm with, even recently, Joe Biden signing off. We need lots of energy, and I'm just glad that we have survived these 3 decades to enjoy this run finally.
Tell us something about your current discovery.
Well, it's a lovely discovery. It's in Saskatchewan, in the Athabasca, and again, it's on the west side of the industry of the basin. And the west, I believe, will be, I would say, the focus of the next generation of mines, whether it's next gen's Arrow or FCU's Triple R. You're talking 500 million pounds in that area. So at one time, it was always, everybody thought of only a deposit at the unconformity, which is basically sandstone on top of hard rock, like a milkshake. And they said, no, you have to always be out there. I'm thankful that Ross and the guys came to the west, found some boulders that led to Triple R, which led to Arrow. So JR zone is about 25 kilometers, about 13 miles, I suspect, just straight north, which is awesome because it's in the right hood where there'll be mills. It's some pretty good. Not only is it high grade, as high as 60% uranium in some parts, but it's got lots of width to it. It's only 7 meters from the unconformity at times, and 150 meters from surface, which is shallow. So the two things you want to be, ideally, is shallow in the basin, but high grade. And the Athabasca, Saskatchewan is again ranked number 2 or number 3 by the Fraser Institute as a good place to do business. The infrastructure is amazing. You can be in Vancouver, literally go to the property and be back home for dinner because you go to Fort McMurray and it's only 45-minute plane ride or a chopper to the site. So it's got all the boxes you think of: high grade, shallow, and the right jurisdiction. You're not going to get it taken away from you. It will be slow. We're not British Columbia. We're not Quebec, where they don't like uranium for whatever reason. But we're in the right place, and we're just starting. When I sit with our team, and they say, "Well, we got this conductor here," because right now it's on A1 at the top of it, but there's another conductor called B1, which we have found a reverse thrust fault down at the bottom, which we're testing right now as we speak. But that's A1, B1, but we've also got A3 further down towards some of next gen's drilling, and then further up. Investors think if you don't hit high uranium, it's a miss or whatever. But our guys, we're always learning. It's one of the boxes is a chemistry from the rocks, and are you in the right area? So the pressure's on us to show that F3's project isn't a one-trick pony, that we just got this one pod, that we've got a system. So we've got to find another pod, and that's where we've also been very fortunate. We have about 15 million for drilling, 25 million hard money. 15 million of that came from Denison. They own about 7% of us. So we're well funded with a very good team and with a great pod. But the pressure's on us to perform and find another pod so we can show to the industry that we've got a system, which is uranium rarely is in one spot. If you look at Arrow, shear zones. If you look at Triple R, it's like pearls on a necklace, and you don't know. Like the first pod we found was hardly anything in it, but then we found 100 million pounds further down. So the good news is this technical team has made a discovery at the unconformities. They understand that. We made a discovery in the basement, so we understand that. All that knowledge is available to them, so when they're going in to look at results, they can identify what the next step is.
Dev, if you could briefly talk about what investors should be looking for in terms of catalysts. My experience tells me that in the exploration business, really what you're doing is answering a series of unanswered questions around your asset. So would you suggest that the the most proximal unanswered question is a PEA, or would you suggest that ongoing exploration to define another pod, or as you suggest, a mineral system is the next catalyst?
More finding other pods. Somebody in the industry said to us from a major, you guys got a system, obviously, because there's so many conductors. More importantly, we have a long fault called the Harrison Fault that just goes for a very long, I think about 100 kilometers or more. And what we're looking for are these cross faults. A1's a cross fault, B1's a cross fault. So there's another major one across the lake, and there's another one major further south. So we have to show that these cross faults have uranium in them. To me, just look at the impact of an area like, Kanalaska went up 50%. So for us, the same pressure is on. We need to show that one of these other cross faults are pregnant with a high grade zone. Our PEA won't be probably next year is our next shot. We want to put in typically 200 holes, and unfortunately, it's the Athabasca. You're chasing, and so when you put a drill hole down, you learn from it. Then you decide the next one. It's not like infill drilling where you can plan it out and put 4 rigs and go to work. We've got 2 rigs going, and each time we stop and look at the core, examine it. So it's a bit of a slower process. You're looking for pods, but we have to find more pods and try to get to that. I believe that with the mill that NextGen will build, that when I look at when they're going to run out of ore, and if we can continue to find and we count on 10 years, let's say, or 12 to be able to produce, well, at least we have a place. The nice thing is there's a road that runs 365 days a year that's run by the government, and it literally goes to the middle of our property, and it goes, I'm guessing about 2 miles from the road would be the mill, is my guess at this point. So we have a place to take it, but we need to show that it's more than a one-trick pony of a pod. Well, when I say that, I suggest to investors that, you've always said it's track record. What have you done? And this technical team has found 3. There isn't anybody, Rick, that's found 2 before that I know of. These guys have found 3 high-grade deposits. So at least you're putting the ball or the puck in the right hands, and you've got them well financed. So I like our chances. It doesn't guarantee we're going to find anything, but I like our chances.
Dev, you know that my audience is uranium centric. To the extent that our audience wants to learn more about F3, to the extent that they're attracted, as you suggest, to the management's track record for finding uranium in the Athabasca Basin, while they're tasking themselves with finding uranium in the Athabasca Basin, who specifically do they contact, and how do they reach that person?
It'll be Jamie at f3uranium.com. And
does Jamie have a last name?
Jamie Bannerman is his name.
Thank you.
But his email is jamie at f3uranium.com. Jamie will direct the conversation to me or to Ray if somebody wants to, if it's an analyst or somebody wanting in a deep geological discussion, and we're happy to do that. When we're not, busy, etc., we are available for those 1-hour phone calls.
Dev, thank you for your 30 years of effort on behalf of uranium investors. Particularly, thank you for your efforts on my behalf. And thank you, too, for your support of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium.
Well, it's a pleasure to be there. Like I say, I love it because they're uranium centric. I don't have to explain, why we need uranium. And I love it. I can just simply talk about what we're doing. And so it really saves us a step. So I'm excited to be coming to the show.
Thank you.